So here is what I've got so far as a cabinet. What I've done is I've made essentially the top foot or so and the front 6 inches, the top of the cabinet. Now I wanted to do this to actually understand how this marquee works. Now at the moment that isn't actually stuck on the artwork, it's just in there above the plexi that I made up. And what you've got there as well, if you can look closely, you'll see there's 2 aluminium angle brackets that have been made. They're just taped on at the top at the moment, taped on the bottom is screwed, just to see how it's going to look and what it's going to come up like. To be honest, I'm pretty happy with that. I've never used plexi, never tried bending plexi before, and I've also never tried, I had to come up with a solution for those brackets top and bottom, and I think that looks quite nice. However, it might be slightly bigger. It might be, this is 3/4 of an inch alley, it might be 1 inch on the actual machine, so I'm just trying to get that verified. But if I prime that and paint it black and I stick on that marquee artwork, I think that will look the business. What I will show you is 2 things in relation to this. When I first of all, this is the plexi. Well, it's not plexi, it's not actually called plexi, it's from Homebase, and you can see that it's not 1/4 of an inch, it's more like an 1/8 of an inch. And I wasn't sure how well this would work, but what I did is I cut some scraps off, which if I could see them around I'd show you, but I can't see them. Hang on a second. Where are they? Here you go. Right. So there's a couple of things. The man in the shop said you couldn't jigsaw this plexi here. He lied. I got a 24 teeth per inch blade on my jigsaw, and as you can see there, oh no, you can't see there. Well, let's take that in for example. You can see that it's gone through that like a knife through butter. You can cut this stuff. So go to your Home Depot if you want this. It's an 1/8 of an inch, and it's pretty solid. And if you see there, that's an angle I bent. That was a test angle. Now what I did to do this, I'll show you there. There's a line, you can't see it, was my test line just there. I wanted to see whereabouts it would bend and how well it would bend. And what I did is I just laid this, I heated the oven to 420 degrees, seemed to be a good number, nice and hot, and I laid it in there, and now I came to the conclusion that 2 minutes is the number to have. So I laid it flat in the oven for 2 minutes, wear gloves, don't burn yourself, and then when I was done at 2 minutes I lifted it out, carefully supporting it so it didn't bend here, and then I laid it on the workmate down here, clamped it down with a bit of wood on top of it and a bit of sheet of metal underneath. I had a sheet of metal underneath, I had a piece of wood on top, I clamped it, and then I just bent this down. And that's how crisp and clean that bend is. Now to be honest, the marquee ones aren't quite as sharp as that, because I lowered the time in the oven slightly, because the whole thing was a little bit soft. But experiment with time and you can get a really nice crisp bend, such as that one. And this stuff, it's not brittle like plexi, and it cost me, I think it was $14 to make two. It was enough to make 2.5 plexis. It was about 2 feet by 4 feet. It was a big old sheet, so it's pretty cheap, and it worked a treat. So that was that. And then with regards to the bracket, what I got is this, which is 3/4 inch aluminum. It was a 3 foot stock piece, 3 foot, 4 foot, I can't remember now, but anyway it was about $3.50. And then with the same jigsaw blade I marked it out and I cut out the relevant notches to enable it to be bent. If you look at the top here, the relevant notches to enable it to be bent there, and enable it to be bent over there, and then to fit in the corners over there. So if anyone's interested, if you can't work it out, I can show you how to do that. But also when you're bending this stuff, whether it be the aluminium or whether it be this the marquee plexi, take into consideration the bend and you might want to experiment. You might want to cut a sliver out and then bend with it and have an experiment, because you've got to allow for how much material is used up in the bend and where you're bending. If my line was there, the bend is actually a quarter. If you can see here, the line is there, but it's actually bent it a quarter of an inch across. So beware, practice, understand your materials, and then it should come out good. And as I say, that's the marquee, and that's how it's going to be. I'm going to prime it, and I'm going to paint it black, and I'm going to stick the artwork on to the plexi, and I should be good. The one other thing to say about that artwork is that's an image that I found online, a high def image, high resolution rather image, and I printed it out about 4 or 5 years ago, to be honest, when I first started thinking about doing this. And it's just a standard print, and it cost me about $20 I think to get that printed out. So we should be good. So at the end of the day, that marquee and the artwork and the brackets are probably going to cost me about $35, which is pretty good.